Michael Viewmaster Morlan here, and welcome to Galactic Inquiry. Coming up, CitizenCon is back, and we have some citizens who share their hopes and dreams for the coming event. Alistaire Fitzsmithy responds to Bad News Baron's poetry challenge, and disturbing news from Beijing. Citizen videos, orgs, and more coming up right after this. And welcome to Galactic Inquiry, the weekly webcast where we feature you, Community Star citizens. And a big welcome to our newest Patreons, Wayne Lundgren, Bone Priest, and Cinemashek. We're so glad you could be part of the show each week. And I want to give a special thanks to those who have been seriously supporting the show from the very beginning with their generous pledges, including the Snowed One, Angry Peas, Remo Castigliolo, Fox Anderson, Brian Hickey, Thomas Ottman, Jake Whitehill, and a super generous Patreons, Michael Nightingale, Hendrik Kumlin, and Jan Pop. You know, you guys keep the lights on in Austin. Thank you so much. Arena Commander version 0.9.1.1 hit the streets, now with more ComStab. What is that, you ask? Well, command stability is an optional IFCS fly-by-wire TCS control layer in your ship that helps you shift smoothly into turns rather than slip and slide all over the verse. If that sounds like gibberish, read on, Macduff. A fuller explanation can be found at the link right there. Also in this 3-dot update, private matches can now be exempt from the leaderboards. Now you may remember last year Wingman's son and soccer wunderkind Brandon had a fundraiser to support kids who can't afford to play the game, providing shoes, uniforms, and anything else needed to get kids on the pitch. Brandon raised $3,800 last year, largely due to Wingman's Hangar fans, and he's at it again with the Lone Star 8th Annual 24-Hour Soccer Marathon. Visit his page and donate as little as $1 and leave a message letting him know who and where you are in the world. Brandon and his team really enjoyed reading those posts last year. Of course, the big news is Cloud Imperium's CitizenCon 2014 is tonight. And what would a CIG event be without a BDSSEYASS? That's the best damn space sim ever's yet another ship sale. No sooner are citizens' wallets recovering from their brand new Responder, Reclaimer concepts, then Mr. Lesnick is announcing yet another concept sale. This time, the Origin 890 Jump Luxury Spacecraft will strip you of anything you had left in your wallet and leave you gasping for oxygen until your next payday. So, gird your loins, citizens. It's another live stream! Later in the show, several members of the community join us to share their predictions for CitizenCon. But now, here's that pesky word of the week.
Word of the week. The word of the week is reindeer.
Here at Word of the Week Industries, we know many of you worry whether you'll have enough storage in space. Maybe your ship has cargo holes and sleeping berths, but what about your livestock? And where will your pet reindeer sleep? Lucky for you, this problem was solved during World War II. The crew of the submarine HMS Trident were gifted with a reindeer named Pollyanna by the Russians in gratitude for the Trident crew's help. The British captain had mentioned that his wife had trouble pushing the baby's pram through the snow, so the Soviet admiral gifted the reindeer to him to pull the pram, which is apparently a thing that happens. The British, ever wishing to remain polite, accepted the reindeer and stuffed it into the submarine through the torpedo tube. The reindeer lived with the 56-man crew on board for 6 weeks, eating from a barrel of moss given by the Russians and table scraps from the galley. The crew tried to get Pollyanna to sleep in the torpedo room, but she insisted on sleeping under the captain's bed instead. Oh, and be sure to feed your space reindeer well, because apparently a Pollyanna ate the sub's navigational chart. And now, here's the news. There are several next-generation and next-generation spacesuits in the design stage as NASA and others prepare to send astronauts to Mars and beyond. And while safety is always a #1 concern, it is possible to go too far. One design that has captured the imaginations of many gamers is the skin-tight EVA biosuit system, designed by Dr. David J. Newman, professor of aeronautics and engineering systems at MIT. Newman's suit is designed to shrink-wrap the astronaut using shape memory alloy, coil actuators, that return to their original shape when prompted by an electrical current. The suit's main attraction is its flexibility and lack of bulk, but engineers are still working on methods for the metal coils to retain their shape without overheating the person inside or using too much power. The suit's look has much in common with the Cloud Imperium design, prompting some RSI forum commenters to suggest that the suit might operate as a biosuit undergarment that slips inside NASA gear designed for protection and self-propulsion in space. And this just in, Buzz Aldrin was the first man to pee on the moon. We thought you'd like to know. In Star Citizen news, Nikki D'Angelo reports from off-planet about a disturbing illness in Asia. Nikki?
Hello, Michael. I'm back here on Earth with hopes of getting over to Santa Monica for the new Starship show that's happening this Friday night. However, a new and ominous story presented itself soon after I landed 7 hours ago. On Friday night, a young woman chucked herself into a local hospital with symptoms of severe dehydration, a headache, and nausea. 11 hours later, she passed away. There was nothing said, no announcements, no press release. Why do I say this? Because this particular hospital in this region of China has not lost a person due to sickness in over 2 centuries. Today we see people poking around the hospital in biohazard suits, and even in other parts of the city. I've heard reports of civilians being taken away from work, home, and school and carted off to an unknown location. It all seems to be like an outbreak is being covered up, so I did some poking around. The woman, Linda Connolly, had worked for a small marketing firm on terror. She was in town to meet her husband, who was coming back from a long-duration archaeological flight in the outskirts of UEE space. I was able to obtain his ship's logs from somebody I know down at the spaceport. He passed through many systems on the way back to Earth, one of them being Stanton and the ACOM station. But that was before the outbreak of Lynch fever and the quarantine.
Nikki, are you saying this is Lynch fever?
No, Michael, I'm just presenting the facts. In fact, nobody will answer that question at all. When I was pressuring one of the hospital executives, a squad of UEE Marines showed up and whisked me off the hospital grounds, and I was told not to return.
Do you think there will be some announcement or press briefing at some point?
I don't know. I get the feeling that the UEE is looking for a giant rug to push this all underneath. Only myself and 3 other independent reporters are on site. In fact, I get the feeling the UEE may be using tactics not seen since the Messer era and trying to pay off the major news agencies not to cover this story. If the truth is to be found out, it's going to be from one of the independent reporters like myself and the 3 others on location now.
Thanks, Nikki. And that's your aerospace news. At Galactic Inquiry, we're always looking for your creations. And here's what we found on the web this week. First up, FiendishFeather sent us this video that he created from in-game assets. He notes, after receiving a distress call from the RSI constellation The Sleeping Angel, the UEE has sent a rescue team to investigate the wreckage and look for survivors. Reports indicate pirate activity is likely in the area, and they might be using a prototype microwave-based weapon. I wonder if you can heat up your TV dinner with that sidearm. Next up, If you want to get your groove on while shooting your enemies out of the sky, check out Anthony Locke's latest musical creation titled Lockstep. It's got that dubstep cock and lock groove that keeps you moving across the dance floor. Take a listen for yourself and support his efforts by giving him a donation. Citizen Parias is at it again with his take on the Reclaimer's most prominent feature. As he wrote, a rogue F-7C-S pilot prepares to stalk an independent cargo hauler, only to find himself in far more trouble than he bargained for.
All systems online. Shield generator is offline. Weapons system is offline. Alert. Systems overheating. Propulsion is off.
Space trash, anyone? Next up, Abdul Songbird has reason to be proud of his mighty Mechanical Mustangs high school robotics team. Despite a lack of CAD or machine tools, their first 2 years, M3 managed to advance to the semifinals of their regional first robotics competition. Founded in 1989 by Dean Kamen, an inventor of the Segway, and Woody Flowers, FIRST was created to address the lack of societal or media interest in science and technology. M3 now plans to become a world-class team and hopes to win at regionals next year. They were also one of just 3 Florida teams to present at the recent DARPA Robotics Challenge. Finally, our org of the week is Imperium. With over 3,400 members, Imperium is one of the largest Star Citizen organizations. According to their charter, the Imperium fleet's overall goal is to have fun in Star Citizen. However, this does not mean they will not strive to be one of the best. This hardcore org's plan is to take over an entire area in fringe space to establish operations and expand from there. They have a well-established hierarchy and require your utmost dedication, forbidding membership in other orgs. In return for your loyalty, Imperium provides support for combat ops, trade and industry, exploration, diplomacy, and intelligence. But pirates need not apply. Thanks to FiendishFeather, Anthony Locke, Parias, Abdul Songbird, and Imperium. You're on this week's Fan Frequency. Last week, Bad News Baron threw down his dainty glove and presumed to challenge our very own Alistaire Sinclair Fitzsmithy to a poetry challenge. And now, Mr. Fitzsmithy takes a moment to respond. "'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mom raths at grabe. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jub-jub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And, as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. Oh, frabjous day, Calloo, Calais, he chortled in his joy. Trashbillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy with the boro gloves, and the moma raths out grabe. The second annual CitizenCon is this evening, and some citizens had some thoughts to share about the upcoming show. So, welcome to Austin, Michael, Senalaya. I understand you're on your way over to CitizenCon 2014. You've been around and traveling to some of the previous events before. Apparently you do quite a bit of travel.
Yes, in my day job, aside of the gaming enthusiasm, I travel around a lot. I'm working for a company that does projects around airports all over the world.
So you've got a small group of friends that live around Europe and some in Australia and other parts far-flung, your own kind of Star Citizen community. Tell me a little bit about your community and what they do.
Originally that community was built around the fantasy role-playing games Neverwinter Nights 1 and Neverwinter Nights 2 that also had the ability of having your own private servers and modding tools. So around that we built our own modules and ran them as a public server system for more than 10 years. And after no game in that direction was developed anymore, Star Citizen was effectively the first game that announced those same capabilities, and after having done fantasy settings for quite some time now, we thought it's a time to move on a little bit and try something different.
Now we've seen people like Anything FPS and Disco Lando popping assets out of the game's release files, but there has been some mention of modding capabilities at some point when Star Citizen is released. So you're looking forward to that?
Yeah, it was one of the stretch goals, if I remember correctly, that promised professional level modding tools. Well, the idea is currently the concepts we've heard about the persistent universe, the mechanics, and all the ways you can play in that sound very interesting. So the current idea is we move into that as a community, see if we're happy with that, and if we come to the point where we say, maybe we would like to have something different or different mechanics, different setting, so forth. So we have a motivation to get to work on it, because it's, of course, even for a larger community, a good piece of work to set up a complete private world. Then we might be tempted to do so.
So recently CIG announced that they were going to start doing sales of ships from concept phase again, when they had sort of been in the place where they were going to not sell a ship until it was finished and ready to load up in your hangar. Now here comes this latest ship that is going to be announced at the event. What do you think's going on there?
Well, I was a little bit surprised. I mean, of course, in the early phases of the campaign, there was nothing other than concept, so sales were based on that. And since some people seem to have some difficulties understanding the design process, going from a first concept drawing over a concept model to the final product with changes in appearance and stats, CIG seemed to have switched over to a different method, finishing the ship for good parts, at least have it hangar ready, and then retrospect publish the development process as part of the Jump Point publication or forum posts. And now they kind of went back to doing the concept sales, and to my absolute surprise, reintroducing LTI again. I mean, of course everybody wants it, whether it's worth anything or not. It's not necessarily a rational view of things there, but I mean, people like me who have quite a few ships, one or two, were actually over it with LTI and say, okay, it's gone, it will never happen again. And so I was quite surprised when Lesnick announced the third wave of ship sales that LTI was back. At least I would have expected, since it's such a polarizing topic, that it would have been discussed a little bit on the forums before. Maybe do a poll if the community agrees with the view to have it just for concept sales for never seen before ships, and to support collectors and so forth. I mean, I can understand the reasoning. It was a little bit surprising to see the lack of discussion about it.
So speaking of a little lack of communication, we haven't really heard much about one of the most essential elements of Star Citizen, and that is the persistent universe game mechanics. What do you think is going on, and what would you like to see out of Star Citizen going forward?
Well, we've seen small bits and pieces of landing locations and so forth, and there have been some discussions about rough basic mechanics, but pretty much every question that was pushed forward to ask for more details on that, was answered with, it's early design stages, it's too early to talk about it. I mean, we are now 2 years into the project, or the development, not counting the pre-development before the Kickstarter. And yeah, by now I would expect to see a little bit more detail on game mechanics, on how things tie together into each other, and how far the development pipelines are for planet site locations and so forth, because there's quite a bit of work to do.
And it's a hell of a pipeline they have to fill with the team that they have, with the level of detail involved. How are they going to pull that off with the schedule that they promised from the beginning?
And that was a little bit of a surprise in the last monthly report, because as far as I read it and understood it, is that behavior has just picked up again on the first concepts for Terra, which was pretty much the status we had half a year ago with Void Alpha working on it.
So here we are, CitizenCon 2014, end of 2 years of development, not including Kickstarter, as you say. What are you expecting they're going to announce tonight?
Well, I'm certainly hoping, and there have been some hints in that regard, to see some previews of persistent universe functionalities, maybe see some trailers or information around the Squadron 42 campaign, which allegedly will show up spring next year. And yeah, we haven't seen much about those parts of the development yet.
So, Michael, I really appreciate you dropping by to say hello with us and spending the day with us. I hope you really enjoy the event.
Oh, I did.
And I hope it is everything you expect it to be.
Thank you very much.
So, hey, here with another crew, this time in L.A., heading out to CitizenCon later. Hey, guys, good to see you.
Good to see you, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
All right, for the audience, tell us who's who.
This is Logante.
Wolf. Ken Shadow.
Outsider.
Outsider. Well, we know that's Disco Lando back there, even if he can't, even if he isn't normally on camera. Hey, guys, good to see you. So, CitizenCon's tonight. Wow. And 2 years in, and where are we, and what are you guys looking forward to?
Well, frankly, I'm just really looking forward to getting together with some community members, all, one area locally, because, Star Citizen is like worldwide per se. What are you stopping? I can sense things.
There's a disturbance in the force, Luke.
I'm excited to see if they reveal anything about the PU, or there's hints of an ArcCorp map or level that they were hinting at in the monthly report.
Yeah, I heard something about some maybe a little planet-side persistent universe action.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's looking really exciting. And yeah, getting to see the devs and such. I haven't seen these guys since February, so it's been a while. I haven't seen you in ages.
It's been a while too. Well, I'm not there anymore, so.
Yeah, well, nevertheless, you're good for it.
Let's talk about a little about spaceships, maybe. What do you think else they're going to introduce there at the show?
890, right?
Yeah, we got confirmation on the 890. Maybe we see the Mustang, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were mentioning a Cutlass Red in one of the recent, is it the fiction posts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, have SNR Cutlass variant. Hopefully they'll give us some more information about those in the next CitCon or a couple of weeks. Again, the 890, I'm hoping they'll, all those fan rumors of it opening up or transforming or something like that. I'm really wondering if those end up being true or not.
Well, the biggest challenge that I've always seen from concept to completion is, realizing it in a sketch is one thing, but seeing it, survive that concept all the way through the articulation of all the 3D parts and the landing grid. That's another thing entirely.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same with cars, though. I mean, you see the concept, and then 5 years later, the car that comes out looks nothing like it.
Well, it ends up looking just like every other car on the road.
Yeah, exactly.
At least Cloud Imperium isn't suffering from that. We're seeing some vastly different designs from the various manufacturers. And the Reclaimer looks pretty interesting. I'm really enjoying that kind of new approach. We hadn't really seen something quite so aggressive.
Yeah, I thought it looked like the Nostromo.
It really does.
By way of Firefly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I really liked it. I had sort of sworn off buying more ships. Like, hey, I've done my part to support things, and the Reclaimer comes out, and I'm like, just when I thought I was out, pull me back in.
We've already decided we're going to have Rock'em Sock'em Reclaimers. So.
Right. So, yeah, so we're looking at Persistent Universe possibly being kind of announced tonight. It'd be great to see some of that playable in the client. Any new ships we expect to find in our hangars? I hadn't heard anything going on there.
Mustang coming out just came out, right?
Yeah, I've got a AMD Mustang in my hangar right now.
Oh, good. Excellent. Because I didn't buy the Mustang, so I haven't seen it.
This thing actually looks really good.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a bug, but
It looks like a mosquito.
it does.
It looks like a looks like a horse. It looks like a mosquito.
It's a very shiny bug. Shiny bug.
It's a good-looking mosquito.
It looks like a
It's not a
mantis.
criticism.
So compare that to the Origin racers. How do you think the M50s compare?
It looks more like a muscle car than like a BMW. Right?
Yeah, it does. It also looks like it would be very, very fragile.
Yeah, that's a good thing. M50 is sort of like the F1, and the 350R is sort of like the NASCAR racer or the BMW, the more stock car kind of thing. And then
Yeah,
the
you can rub
Mustang.
tires in the 350, but not the M50. Hey, anything else you guys want to throw in while we're here?
I was told to have to throw a shout out to Anything FPS. Because he bugs me every day on Skype asking me how to make his videos. He's coming to me for help. How do I do this, disco? How do I do that? So he wanted me to give him a shout out for that. Bad News Baron is hanging out. We're actually on our way to meet up with him.
Yeah, we know about Bad News Baron.
I don't care about anybody at all, so nobody gets a shout out from me.
He doesn't.
All right, cool. Well, guys, listen, it was great to have you on the show, and look forward to seeing what you think after tonight.
We'll let
See
you
you in
know.
verse.
See you in the verse.
See you in
Take care,
verse.
buddy.
Hello, peoples of Earth. You can look for everyone in Los Angeles this evening on your live stream feeds. You can become a Patreon backer today and support a dubious show by and for the fans. You can subscribe to their YouTube channel. You'll get a ping each time they publish a new video, which is very useful if you're spying on them. Or keep in touch through your favorite social portal. Links to the Galactic Inquiry sites may be found on their brand new, depraved website. This show belongs to you, Moranians. So be sure to give them your feedback on the thread below. And stop pushing the likey button. We need more dislikes. And of course, the centerpiece of this show is fan creation. So if you have something cool to share, please send it in. And even if it sucks, I'm sure they'll show it. And remember, I'm also listening.
Thank you.